Michelle.
And Mr. E.
We're back again for another Fooventures. This time we're having we're behaving ourselves in our bee yard with Greg Stewart. He'll be here in just a second. He's with the Coastal Empire Beekeepers Association. Please get your questions ready.
Yeah, and we're super excited that we get to be here. This is not something that even a normal visitor or guest would get to see a lot at Oatland because it's a lot of hands-on things that maybe might be scary for people. They need the proper training, proper equipment like we're wearing. So we're going to get a really close-up view of some things that you wouldn't even see if you were able to walk the trails normally, which you can't. So super cool behind-the-scenes kind of moments we're going to get here.
And we actually have a little trick we're playing the bees right now. We have a board set up in front of a hive so that we can have the girls, when they're coming back into their hive, they are like, wait a minute, something's wrong. So they're all backing up in front of it, and I hope you can see that. Give us a thumbs up or a bee emoji or something if you can see them backing up against this hive here.
Yeah, and these are all the what we like to call the field bees, the ladies who have been out doing the grocery shopping, getting the pollen, getting the nectar from the flowers, traveling miles and miles, and they want to get back in the hive and drop that stuff off. So we're going to let them, we're going to pull it away. Dawn, who's in the camera position today, is going to hopefully get a view of them coming back in so we see them transitioning back into the hive. So I'm going to pull this.
All right, Karen, Maisie, and Greg, thanks for saying hello. Get ready for this.
So you can see pretty closely here that we have thousands and thousands of bees inside this hive, and those bees are everything from a little tiny egg all the way up to an adult that's going out and foraging. And that process from egg to larva to adult is really cool process that you might know that means body change. So if you have an idea of what that process they go through to change their body is called, we'd love to hear it from you. So type it in, maybe give us a thumbs up if you've got it in your brain, but you can't think of the word because it's a big word.
And yeah, and this is a complete form of this, not an incomplete form. If you were watching us, what were we doing that with? With our log roll.
Log roll,
yes.
Yeah, the log roll.
So I have a question for you out there in Facebook land. Are these males or females? Who can tell us the answer to that? Because we could tell you pretty much most of their sexes without even looking.
Yeah.
All right. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Abby. And your mama. Is that your mom?
Yeah, Mama.
Miss Swanson. Hello, Miss Swanson. All right, we got some answers coming in. Good job. You guys know your stuff. Yeah, it's called Asher. Is that Asher? Yeah. Chicken scratch over there, Doug. It is. Asher, how you doing, buddy? Yep, it's metamorphosis, and it's complete metamorphosis. So that means they start off as an egg, and then they hatch out very quickly, not just a few days, and they become larvae, and they get tended to by other adults that bring them food and take care of them. And then when they cap them off, they go into what's called the pupa, and they stay in the little pupa stage until they emerge as what you see flying around in front of you today, the adult. And you guys know what sex it is? Did you tell me already? Not yet? Okay, well, give us some ideas.
Yeah, so Greg just handed me this little frame. So inside of the box there'll be many frames, and this frame specifically I thought might have the queen on it. So
nope, she's on another frame.
She's on another frame?
I'll bring
this
her
is
to
the normal
you separately.
Frame? Okay.
But my finger is going to show you a large male bee.
Yeah,
right
there we go.
Oh,
that's perfect.
That is not a female. No, that is a female.
That's a large male.
That's
he's got pollen on his corbicula.
Actually, that is
So is that right?
a completely different bee.
What?
It's
Ah.
a black-bodied bee, so that's telling us that
A
we have
robber.
a diversity.
Oh no, is that a robber?
So let me see if I can find you a male bee on another frame.
Yeah. So this is the honeycomb, the wax, and so the beekeepers nowadays, they provide a frame with a foundation on it, and that gives the bees a head start program of building up comb. So bees, where do they get the wax from? Do you guys know the answer to that?
Ooh.
Maisie, you did it. All right, Maisie. The females are all the workers. Yeah. Ooh, this girl right here is full of pollen on her corbicula, or what do they call it? A pollen basket
pollen
on her
sacs,
legs.
Yeah.
Yep, you can see that. She's been out working hard today, collecting pollen. Hey, you know what? I have a question for you guys out there too. There are 4 things that bees are foraging for. 4 things. Can you tell me? I mean, the obvious ones you might know. Can you think of what 4 things? Type your answers in. Let us know. Share with us 4 things that bees are out foraging every day, looking to bring. Any day the weather's right, I should say.
Yeah.
Weather's a
Ooh, weather is very important for a bee, because a bee can't just be like out in the snow.
No, not in the snow.
And that's actually one of the really amazing things. We
rain.
have bees and we have honey because they've adapted to live in places where it is cold by storing food, and that's a lot of honey stores that we think about, is their ability to survive the winter. So super cool that they've had that adaptation that then we take advantage of and get sweet honey from.
Okay, Maisie, don't you know what are they collecting out there? Tell us, ask her. I know you know. Give me something. Give me a word. They're
I
out there.
think that
What
they're
are
probably
flowers?
looking for beautiful flowers.
Candy!
Candy. Oh, wait. They're
Yeah,
probably
this
looking
flower
for
candy.
maybe like blue things,
Blue things.
purple things,
Okay,
yellow things, white things.
yeah. I don't even know what Mr. E is talking about
Well,
right now.
well, I just learned today, and it's just super amazing. I didn't even know that bees can't see red.
Oh, they can't see red?
They can't see red.
Okay.
They can't see red, which is crazy to think about.
But you know what? Those of you that watched Wednesday, we were talking about hawks, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Do you remember what we talked about, that hawks have the ability to see under sunlight? Bees have the same thing.
Yeah.
They can see fluorescence underneath the sun in the UV light, and that's how they talk to flowers. You know the flowers are talking to them?
Yeah.
They're telling them what to collect.
Wow. So they also bees and nectar.
Oh, Macy's got 2 of them.
Oh yeah, nectar, pollen. Those are 2.
Yep.
2 of the 4. An ingredient for lots of things, and life would not be possible without it, is your hint for number 3.
Yeah, all living things need to have it to survive, and should be having it clean. Should be drinking it clean. Got it? You know what it is? All right. So they need to get nectar. They need to get pollen. We're jumping all over the place here. They need water. I know you're thinking of it. And the last one is not as obvious unless you're a bee person. Propolis.
What does that word even mean?
It's like a resin that the plants give off. Like when they get damaged, they give off a chemical. And bees love to take propolis back to their hive.
So is it like kind of like wax?
No, wax comes from the bee's abdomen. They excrete it out of a gland. Okay,
So-
we got questions.
So they make wax.
They do make wax.
What?
Absolutely.
So
So do you.
So
Out of your ears.
that wax then we use to make things.
You could, I guess.
Yeah.
You could make your wax. Hi, Teresa from Ohio. Is that your friend? Yeah. Okay. Hi, it's our friend. Okay,
Teresa,
so Amy
we're
wants to know,
happy you're
is there
tuning in.
more than one queen? We gotta go back in time a little bit.
Oh yeah.
No.
No.
If there is a problem.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a mass exodus.
Yeah.
She's going to either get killed or she's going to leave with half of your hive and start a new hive.
And what was really cool is there actually will be queen cells, which are a different type of cell than our normal kind of hexagonal cells that we think of. Those cells that are going to be queen cells are going to look really weird, almost like a peanut stuck on the side of the frame, and that's what the queen is going to hatch out of. And I was looking, I think there's a few larvae in some of those, which is super cool to see. But those capped ones, we've got honey over to our left and right, and then in the center we have some of the larvae going in. So they kind of mix use all over the place, but typically a queen cell is going to be kind of in the middle or the bottom of a frame.
Yeah. So we're going to keep moving on here. Nancy wanted to know what flowers are the best attractors
Oh,
for,
man.
this is a European honeybee. Personally, I would tell you native plants.
Yeah.
Not just because you're providing these European honeybees with a source, it's because you're providing all the pollinators out there. This is
Yeah.
just one of the pollinators. This is a very important pollinator for commercial, for food, and for things you eat. Okay, we found her. We found a frame with a queen on it. See if you can find her first. So I would say, Nancy, you can just kind of, we would always suggest that you grow native pollinator plants. And there are lots of resources for that as well. Okay, do you see her?
So this queen
Thumbs up if you see her.
is marked, so she's very easy to see. But what's really amazing is the size different. You can see it right away. So just look for the size different. You might also notice that it doesn't look like she'd probably be able to fly much. She's got really small wings compared to her body size. It's because she doesn't do a lot of flying. That queen is very, very, very much going to just be laying eggs and caring for the babies as she produces them and gets them ready to be cared for the adults.
Yeah, and so the queen always has a court that kind of surrounds her and hangs out with her. It's her retinue is another name for it. And you can just kind of watch the behavior and see, like, can you tell if any of them are staying with her? It looks like there's some following behind her. She's looking for empty comb to lay her eggs in. She can lay up, what, to 1,500, Greg? 1,500 eggs a day?
Yeah.
A day!
Absolutely right.
1,500. So how many bees are in a hive, Greg?
Most of these hives start off with about 7,000 bees when we get them started. And when we get
7,000?
7,000, and then when they get 3 stories high like this, we might get up to 35,000 bees.
What? That just gave me chills.
Yeah.
30 to 35,000 bees.
And those bees are traveling some miles. So the adult bees, the bees that are going around and growing up inside the hive,
What's going
have
on over here,
specialized jobs. Oh yeah, there's something going on one of the hives, Greg.
Over here.
Over in the white hive.
Got a little exodus going on. Yeah.
Greg's gonna go check it out.
We may have a swarm in
We might have a
progress.
swarm happening. Live on Facebook.
So it's that time of year. Bees do what's called swarming. That's a common thing for them to do as we transition from maybe one queen to the next or to a
Nancy's
larger
question.
queen.
I don't
So-
know if we will walk over there with this.
Yeah. So I'm gonna leave this frame over here.
We'll get a view of this going on over here. Greg's gonna try to control this hive before he takes off. Maisie wanted to know how many hives do we have. That's something we'll ask Greg. Okay, we'll come back to you, Maisie. Here goes Jade. All right, you need help, Eric, putting that frame back?
Good.
Okay. So, Eric was talking about, you were talking about distance of travel, right? How
Yeah,
far
that's
they
what I
go
was
out,
wanting to get on.
how far away they go to forage and find the 4 things that they need: propolis, water, pollen, and nectar.
Nectar, yeah.
Good job.
Nectar.
How's it going over there, Greg?
It's good. It actually looks like they have started to swarm over on that hive. So I have temporarily placed a cage there to slow it up.
Okay.
And maybe when we get done here, we're going to go investigate that and have some fun.
That sounds good. And swarms aren't a bad thing. Beekeepers actually kind of love swarms because a lot of times it's a wild bee population you may be able to get some free bees with, or you may be able to get some bees that are a little bit different genetic stock than the bees that you have, and you can make a healthier hive or a healthier bee yard that way.
Yeah, Ross wants to know, are we getting stung?
Oh no.
No.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fear and bees. And
Yes, so important.
Yeah, so important. Tell us your little thing about fear and misunderstanding.
Oh yeah, so
I like that.
so fear is a really good thing. Fear is important because fear allows us to think of things in kind of the consequences of what might happen if we accidentally do something wrong. So fear is good, it keeps us safe. Safety and fear are really closely linked. Fear, when you lead that and let that get into a hatred or a misunderstanding that leads to a hatred, you start to vilify things, it can be really, really bad. I don't mind if you're afraid of bees. I think that's a good natural thing. I don't mind if you're afraid of snakes. It's a good natural thing. If you let that fear bleed over into hatred, that can cause you to get into bad situations with snakes, with bees, because you might do something that you normally wouldn't.
And I think also one of our reactions with fear is the bees is we want to swat them.
Yeah.
Right? We want to smack them. And bees aren't going to sting you just landing on you necessarily. They're just trying to check you out. Maybe you're fragrant. Maybe they want to check you out. So I always tell my people, just blow on them.
Yeah.
Just get them off you. Just don't swat them off. Okay? Yeah. Look, we're walking right around the middle of them. Greg handles them without anything on sometimes.
Yeah, so when we talk, we know we get a little conversational. If we get a little too quiet, let us know. We kind of get wrapped up in the talking, so let us know if we need to be louder. One thing I think that you can see really here is this is a full little frame that's both sides filled of cells full of capped honey. So super, super, super cool. Greg was telling me this morning that next week they're actually going to pull out frames, all the honey frames, and they're going to process honey, and they're going to get that ready for sale. It's for sale at Oatland. We don't know exactly how that's working with the shutdown, but hopefully by the beginning of June, end of May, we'll have honey available from our bees here at Oatland. The proceeds go to help Oatland and to help Oatland function. So if you're excited about honey, excited about local honey, we've got some here for you.
Yes, and so we haven't really talked about, you guys are asking so many great questions, I love it. But I want to just really quickly tell you, like, where does honey come from? How do they make honey?
Oh, yeah.
Because we went from the pollen and the nectar and, the other things they're collecting. So, but where does the honey come from, Mr. E?
Honey comes from bees, Michelle.
It comes from their mouths.
It comes from their mouths,
Nectar,
and
water.
they mix it all together inside of their mouth and inside of their bee tummy, yeah. It's like a stomach that's not like our stomach, because our stomach is full of horrible things and their stomach is full of delicious things. So bees process everything internally and then excrete it.
Yeah, and there's like mystery enzymes in there, right?
Yeah.
Really, they've broken the mystery of what chemical compounds are in there. So it's pretty fascinating stuff, right? You can see why it could be medicinal.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through some of your questions here. I love all these questions. You got one? What are you going to ask?
Okay, so Finn's question is awesome. What do the colors on the queen mean? The colors on the queen mean that we can find her easily, do basically a health check on her, make sure she's doing what she's supposed to be doing, check if she's maybe damaged or something like that. Also make sure that when we're moving bees around, we don't accidentally move her out of a hive that she belongs inside of.
And your mom, I think it was your mom, she wanted to know how many queens. You'll have one queen for each of these.
Oh yeah, little paint markers, yeah.
Got little pens, this is what he colors on them with.
So the international trick is each color represents a particular year.
Yes.
So in 2020, the color is blue. The queen you saw had a blue mark, so we know she was born this year. Last year in 2019, the color was green. So when you find a green marked queen, she's over a year old.
Yeah.
So
How long can they
internationally,
live?
queens can live anywhere from 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So we actually use 5 colors, because after you go through the 5 colors, you start back over.
Yeah.
And what's really amazing too is queens are long-lived for most insects. Most insects are not this long-lived, but if you go down to a drone or you go down to a worker bee, you're going to get a much shorter lifespan. And that length of lifespan depends on the season that they're in, and even the locality, the latitude that you're at. So in really cold areas where we have hives, you might have a queen or a worker or a drone that gets much, much older than you would here, where it's warmer and a warm season and more active bees. They don't quite live as long.
Okay, Lucy, I want to talk about communication with you, bee communication. So bees communicate with pheromones, with the scent, smells, and they also communicate with visualizations. They give each other a cue about where they found this great source of nectar by doing the waggle dance. So they will watch each other and they'll tell the insects how far away, they'll tell what angle, what direction to fly. You're missing it, Greg. Doing a little waggle dance for us over there. Come on, Greg, don't be shy. Get over here.
Yeah, and so they will actually locate kind of where they need to go based on the position of the sun and the position of their body and then the position that they waggle in allows other bees or clues other bees on which way to go.
And they'll even tell them like how good the source is. Which
What?
I don't know how, but they do. They somehow say like,
Super
I
amazing.
found the mother lode, the nectar, and they'll tell them
Yeah.
exactly how to get there.
And
Amazing.
commercially, bees are used to pollinate hundreds of different types of crops. In the U.S., there's about 80 species that are used commercially used for bee pollination. So they'll actually have bees brought in to pollinate, and
Big money business
and
there.
those are
Moving your hives around.
those are almonds. Typically, is kind of the big one we think about as being very, very dependent on the bees. About 100% of the almonds that you eat were touched by bee hands. So kind of crazy to think about in that way. Well, they have 6 legs, and what's at the end of their legs?
Little bee hands.
Little bee hands, of course.
And then we talked about Megan about how far they travel to gather pollen. I don't know exactly.
Yeah,
Do
so
you have a number?
so
Greg has a number?
Greg has a number that's really interesting because it's different than what I would say. But Greg is the expert and knows that 2 miles is a normal radius. Outside that 2 miles, there's a diminishing return, is what they say. So a bee can travel a long way, sometimes over 5 miles. At that point, though, the value of getting there and bringing back resources diminishes, and so they're not really. It's not a helpful thing. But they do like certain things and will travel farther distances, right?
They will. So if any of the viewers out there are math majors, that 2 mile square, that 2 mile radius in a circle, you should be able to look up your Euclidean geometry real quick and tell us how many square miles of land mass that is.
Yeah, and it's huge. And it's like if you move out a meter, it gets much bigger, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're increasing the radius squared, right?
Yeah. Eric, you gotta talk louder.
So,
Greg. Oh, Greg has to speak louder. Sorry, Greg. He's Eric
Would
Greg.
you like me to repeat anything?
my name is Eric Greg
Yeah.
Swanson.
Kayla, what is this smoke about? Well, okay.
Oh, yes.
So if you're a beekeeper, you want to smoke your bees before you go in the hive. Basically, it gives them an instinct of there's a fire, there's something going wrong, and it calms them down. It gets them kind of it changes their mind a little bit about what you're doing, and just gets them focused on gorging themselves on honey and getting ready to move if they have to move.
Yeah,
So,
their focus is not on you and your actions in the hive.
Do you have a better explanation for that, Greg, than we
No,
do?
you're absolutely correct. And I've put out these little cotton balls here, and the reason for that is just to give a wall of light smoke. They're kind of being distracted,
Yeah.
and that'll kind of help them ignore us a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
we're standing close and not actively doing anything. Normally, if we were in a hive like this, had a hive open, we'd be, having a specific reason for it. I don't want to call beekeepers lazy, but a lazy beekeeper makes a hive happy, because the hive itself wants to be enclosed, wants to be zipped up tight, and opening it up makes for unhappy bees.
All right. Hi, Missy. Hi, Elise. How are y'all
Hi,
doing
guys.
today? We miss you. Okay, so Doug wants to know, how do pesticides and chemicals used in your yard impact bees? Terribly. In fact, you don't even have to use chemicals and pesticides. All you have to do is buy a plant with neonicotinoid pesticides put in them, like genetically grown in the plant, and that can be harmful to bees too. So look when you buy plants that they don't have neonicotinoid. Ask your retailer if they know where the plants came from. It's a really important thing.
Yeah, and from my standpoint, we talked a little bit about plants, native plants as being good for the bees. I think when I remember bees here at Oatland, or when I think about bees, I always think about trees, which is kind of crazy to think about. Our flowering trees here, a lot of our ilex, our holly, our laurel cherries, any of our fruit trees, they're always full of bees here at Oatland, and we have massive, massive bumper crops because of this. So when I think about flowers, I don't just think about a low, showy flower from the yard. I think about flowers everywhere,
All the
up in the
flowering
trees,
plants.
different heights, all the flowering plants. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And-
All right, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. And if you want to get a low-lying flower that's really good for you to grow in your yard, I would say an echinacea or any type of bee balm. A lot of our herbs actually are really good when they flower out for bees, so really good wide variety of flowers, but stick to, you know, those white, yellow, purple, blue flowers, not so much the red ones.
Okay, so Elise, is that Elise later? She asked, how much nectar can a bee collect over its lifetime?
Oh.
Enough.
Yeah, so an individual bee makes like what, 1/10 of a teaspoon of honey or something like that. I saw varying ranges, but that's just a very, very small amount of honey. So a lot of bees to make the amount of honey that you consume.
Yeah, think about
a lot.
All full of honey.
Yeah.
Honey.
It's amazing to think about.
Crazy. Yeah, and by the way, buy local honey, support local honey. So come to Oatland, get your honey here when we have it for sale, because that's how you get the health benefits of it. Because all the pollen that they're collecting that you might have an allergic reaction to, there's going to be little bits of it, microscopic bits of it in the honey, and you will get your little exposure. If you buy from the commercial grade from the stores, it's not going to work the same for you. So always support local beekeepers and buy your honey directly from them. Try to get as close to where you live as possible.
Yeah, how close to water do hives need to be? Ross, this is a super good question. When we think about water source, a fresh water source is just as important as the nectar source because they need it to process those things. So we offer water sources right here in the bee yard. They also will go around, and we've seen them licking from our mud kitchen sink. We've seen them licking up water from puddles. We've seen them on dew. We've seen them in the water dishes of our animals licking up water. Any water source that they can find is important. There is a really, really cool experiment that many different beekeepers and scientists have done where they put bees out in the desert, and then they'll move and transition food sources and nectar sources away or closer to them to see how far they move. And a lot of times what is the most detrimental is the water source being moved farther away than the nectar source, because they often have built into their hive ability to hold and keep nectar in the form of honey, and so they can feed off of that.
Yeah, great. Should we move over, and are we staying here?
We can move over. I think that would be good. We'll have a seat,
Certainly.
and Greg can button things up, get the bees a little happier than they are now.
Yeah, and we want
take
you
care of
to learn all about the Coastal Empire Beekeepers Association.
Yeah.
Because that's an important organization that you can support and join.
So we're going to walk over that way. We'll try to answer some questions on the way.
Let's go.
Does Oatland ever sell honeycomb? There are lots of local beekeepers that sell honeycomb. Oatland does not, and we do not have it packaged in that way, but we do have many local beekeepers that we can get you in touch with that can sell to you directly honeycomb, even propolis, things like that.
Yeah, propolis has got also medicinal properties like sore throat, stuff like that. So you might want to get yourself some local propolis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk slowly backwards.
Okay. Yeah, so we're going to walk by this form, possible form here.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's pretty exciting.
So this super, super cool mass of bees that Dawn might pan to is maybe the start of a swarm. We're not quite sure what's going on. Greg's going to take a closer look. We might give him a hand. It's really, really, really cool, though, that we have growth, because a swarm just means growth in a hive, going on in our bee yard. So that's a good, positive thing, that we have growth in our bee yard.
Yeah. And beekeeper, it's like gold, treasure collecting to catch a swarm, because you don't have to buy it.
Yeah.
Buy a hive, a nuke.
And a lot of people get really afraid of a swarm. They think that a swarm is going to mean that they're going to be attacked or stung. A swarm is actually some of the most docile bees you're going to see, because they're very concerned with taking care of the queen, protecting her as she's out of the hive. So they'll actually form a ball around her wherever she's landed or wherever she's hanging out. They'll make a ball around her so that she's protected.
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to walk quick up to
So we're going to give you a little tour of our new, Seba's new pergola.
Yeah.
So they're creating this little area where we can have education, or we can come up and learn about bees someday, maybe in a class. Nice little space.
And it's just a fun word. Isn't pergola a fun word?
Pergola.
Pergola.
Yeah, and here we are with some observation hives that we can watch and look in without even having to open up and get in there. Greg has displayed some resources, book resources.
Oh, yeah.
If you come in February, the SEBA organization offers a beekeeping class.
Fundamentals with fun in capital. F-U-N. Fun.
Fundamentals Beekeeping. This is their book that they resource that they base a lot of it on. And then there's some other fun resources for you, Greg.
About our native bees and how to plant. These are for sale through SEBA. We have some locally horsed. I cracked myself up. Locally sourced honey. He's going to tell us a little bit about that, and then I'm going to get a sample.
Yeah, me too.
So as they mentioned earlier, Oatland will be pulling their honey May 23rd. So I asked a few of our beekeepers if they drop some honey off for me. These are both early spring honeys. You can see how light they are.
The wildflower mix.
They are wildflower mix. And I'm going to tell you the secret about this one. This particular honey here actually came from the bamboo farm. Here, this particular honey won first place in our Welch honey contest.
Oh.
Our Oatland honey won third place.
Ooh.
So this is my competition honey right here.
All right. Let me give it a shot.
So the beekeeper happens to be Laura Lou. She was real nice. She dropped off some more that she collected this year for the next contest. Eric?
We're sorry if there's connectivity issues. If we're going in and out, stay with us. I think there's
So
issues
good.
like in the country.
In the network?
Yeah, I've been having issues.
Because there's lots of issues in the country.
No. there's issues.
So what's very interesting is you will notice as each month of the year changes. This is from Chatham County, the bamboo farm area. This is from Bryan County, but the same month. So nature is providing pretty much the same nectar unless you travel more than 50, 100 miles for the nature to change on you. At Oatland, our honey will be slightly darker. And then as we get into the fall, where more of the different shrubs are providing nectar, the honey will continue to even get darker.
Yeah, there's this amazing resources for honey around just to look at photos of different colors of honey, different types of honey, different sources. I especially like Tupelo honey. That's probably my favorite.
Greg,
I got a big sweet tooth.
I have a question, Greg. How certain are they that it's Tupelo honey when they call it Tupelo honey?
So at the grocery store, they flag a lot of honey purely based on the area that they collect it. But the USDA would require you to actually sample the honey and look at the pollen granules.
Oh.
And the pollen in the honey will pretty much tell you which particular species or tree it came from.
So they do look at it.
And the uniqueness of Tupelo honey, it often has a yellow gold and a green tint to it.
Oh.
So your master beekeepers in the Welch Honey Society, they will look at this honey and they will know that in our area, both the white and black Ogeechee Tupelo has been blooming.
Yep.
And then they will actually taste this.
Okay.
And they are so good at the flavors that they can often tell you the flower or the floral arrangement just from the flavor.
Wow.
That's amazing. It's like
I'm not that good yet.
It's like a honey, what's the sommelier? It's a honey sommelier. That's crazy. So the last question that we had was interesting, and I think Greg can speak this a little bit about honey for sale. Oatland's honey that's coming from our hives is going to be harvested on
May 23rd.
May 23rd, and will take a bit to process. So by the beginning of June, likely we'll have jarred honey for sale. That being said, we will need you to call and set that appointment up if you're interested in honey for sale.
If we're not open,
If
yeah.
we're not open.
We'll get it to you.
Yeah. If
That's
you're
important.
interested, we'll make it work.
Absolutely. And if you call us at
Oh,
395-1500, that's our line. And
912 Erico.
912-395-1500.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, I don't want to put Greg on the spot, but Greg is an amazing resource, and especially SEBA is an amazing resource. They're one of my institutions that I think of as being teaching by hands-on. So when you think about if you learn better from hands-on than in a book, SEBA's right up your alley because they do amazing introductory class, that fundamentals of beekeeping we mentioned, but then they have open Saturdays when we're open to the public, where people can come and explore the bee yard and learn from professionals, learn from people that are doing everything from pulling swarms out of buildings to having 1 or 2 hives in your backyard. So lots of cool things you can do with honeybees in this area.
Yeah.
Be more specific, Mom.
What is the process of what?
Oh, extracting.
Great. Can you tell us about extraction?
I like this.
So, Michelle and Eric showed you a frame of pure honeycomb in the bee yard. We actually take that honeycomb and we either use a cold pick or a cold knife, and we actually uncap it. Once we uncap it, we transfer it to a stainless steel extractor. Most people call it a spinner. You spin the honey out. The honey then drains. It is just filtered. You choose how fine you want to filter it. And what you end up with is it goes from the honeycomb with minor filtering to the jar. We do not process it in any other way. It is very natural.
And that means good for your health.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too to watch this process because honey does amazing things in its fluid dynamics, I guess is a good way to talk about it. It does this real weird spiraling because of its viscosity. It flings out sideways but still maintains those channels of honey. It's crazy. It's like what's the?
It's like syrup.
Yeah, it's like syrup, but it's like better than syrup.
It's honey.
I think it's better than syrup.
Hi, Chapin. Hi, Burgess.
I
need to see the Jack.
I'd eat honey over maple syrup any day.
Yay, honey, a little bit more expensive taste.
Yeah.
So did your viewers figure out how many square miles?
Oh yeah,
in
did
a
anyone do the
2 mile
math?
radius circle?
Yeah, I don't know.
Greg, are you like an engineer or something in your day job?
I have been a quality engineer for quite some time, but I actually majored in chemistry.
Chemistry, wow.
And I was actually a licensed pest control operator.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
The irony. I've gone from pest controlling bugs to now being a beekeeper.
Yeah, so the math is really cool.
Hi, Lonnie. Thanks for joining us. Yeah,
Greg,
this has been a really fun...
Greg, do you want to lay the math on us? Do you know it off the top of your head?
Well, again, if you look up your Euclidean geometry, you will find that pi r squared, you will find that you've got about 12 square miles that the bees will work. So anybody can go Google Savannah, Google where you live, and you can put a dimension on Google and it will show you where your bees, if they're in your yard, how far and where they are going around your property.
Yeah. Or where your local beekeeper is in relationship to you, and if it's a local source or not. It's good, important stuff.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah.
I loved having a guest today.
I love having a guest too, especially Greg.
How many times did y'all get stung?
None.
No,
None.
not yet.
I didn't get stung.
How many times have you got stung?
3.
He doesn't have arthritis. I have the last joke. I'm going to leave you guys with some jokes, okay? So, no, I can't have a joke. I'm next. Reading people's faces there. So, why did the bee... Wait.
I don't remember.
Where it goes, get married? Wait, I can't even remember how it goes. See, someone was showing me a joke before we started. No, I know the answer. I just didn't know how to word it. Why did the bee get betrothed?
Oh.
I'll put it that way.
Oh, man.
Because he met his honey. She. Wait. Oh, my God.
Doesn't really work when you think about it.
Sure it does.
With the way the hives are set up.
Yeah. And then what do you call a bee that's born in May? Maybe. Got lots of those right now, don't we?
Maybe. Yeah.
I have to admit, I do like the, what do you call a bee in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the funny ones.
Guess what that is? Gotta give him the punchline, Greg.
It's called a USB.
Yeah. Store a lot of data on this thing.
All right, y'all. Be well.
Yeah.
Be
Stay safe, guys.
safe.
and come when we're open sometime.
Stay curious.